Throw me the ball and watch what I do with it.
You are now tuned in to the CherryPickin podcast with your host, Andre Cherry.
Hey everybody, this is your host Andre Cherry, and you are listening to the CherryPickin podcast, which is presented by the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the CherryPickin podcast. On this episode, I'll preview the upcoming Temple versus Tulane matchup this weekend in Philadelphia. The Temple Owls will attempt to win its 7th victory of the season on Saturday. The Owls are 6-3 and 3-2 in the conference after the 17-7 victory over USF in Week 11. With the victory last Thursday night, the Temple Owls became bowl eligible for the 6th straight season. This week, Temple hosts a Tulane Green Wave for the first time since 2015. The last time these two teams met was back on November 16th, 2016, where the Owls beat the brakes off of Tulane by a score of 31-0. Temple's defense got after it in that game and limited Tulane to only 142 total yards. Temple's quarterback Philip Walker threw for 337 yards with 2 touchdowns. Sophomore wide receiver Ventel Bryant was Walker's favorite target on this day, as the Owl receiver caught 9 passes for a total of 168 yards and 1 touchdown. This weekend's matchup between Temple and Tulane will be a part of the 150 years of college football celebration. Temple will wear throwback jerseys to commemorate the first ever Sugar Bowl that took place in 1935 between Temple and Tulane. Kickoff is set for Saturday at noon. After a short break, I'll tell you more about these two teams, so I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Are you a purple and orange bleeding, Maryland flag boasting Baltimore sports fan looking for a podcast that delivers an hour of content every week?
Then you need to subscribe to Charm City Birdwatch, presented by the Big Heads Media Podcast Network.
You'll hear insight on the Ravens, Orioles, and Terps from Jake McDonald, Nolan McGraw, and myself, Ian Schultz.
With takes coming from both fans and young names in the Baltimore sports media conglomerate, Charm City Birdwatch is the perfect place to catch up on Baltimore sports talk. Subscribe today.
Welcome back to the show. Last week, in the 17-7 victory over USF, Temple found the winning formula of running the ball well again. Temple's leading rusher, freshman Ray Davis, was out for this game with an undisclosed injury. His status for this week's game is still listed as questionable. As a team, against Tulane, the Owls rushed for a total of 153 yards. Senior running back Jager Gardner stepped up while Davis was out and led all Temple ball carriers with 133 yards rushing on 25 carries. It's a great sign to see Temple running the ball well again. During Temple's 3 losses this season, the Owls only averaged 48 yards rushing. Temple is at its best when it runs the ball effectively. We'll have to see if Temple's ability to rush for over 150 yards against USF is the start of a new trend. Quarterback Todd Centeio continued to see limited action for the 5th straight week. He threw for his first touchdown in AAC play this season with a 1-yard pass to Kenny Yeboah late in the first half. It was the only offensive touchdown the Owls produced the entire game. Head coach Rod Carey has incorporated Centeio into games, and I'm paraphrasing this statement as Carey feels Centeio is too talented to let ride the bench. Centeio presents an additional dynamic in the offense, and he's a playmaker who has the ability to run the ball. In this game in particular, I feel like Centeio added a much-needed spark to the offense as it had been pretty flat the entire first half. Centeio led a drive which resulted in a touchdown for the Owls. Now, while watching this game, I tweeted out that Coach Carey should incorporate Centeio in additional series than just one in the first half and one in the second half, which is what he's done in previous games. Temple starting quarterback Anthony Russo is no doubt a leader of this team, but he struggled some this season. In this game, Russo went 15 for 21 for a total of 164 yards with 1 interception. Russo's 9 total interceptions on the season are tied for the most in the conference. Now, if we look on defense, against USF, Temple's defense stayed busy. The Owls had 9 sacks and 10 tackle for losses against USF quarterback Jordan McLeod and his backfield. Temple also caused 2 turnovers from the Bulls' offense. Something else that I want to call out is that Temple will need to cut down on the penalties and turnovers. This week, the Owls committed 7 penalties, including 1 targeting ejection. Over the last 3 games, the Owls have committed 20 penalties for a total of 181 yards and 4 turnovers. Its opponent this week, Tulane, has committed 21 penalties in the last 3 games for a total of 226 yards with 7 turnovers. So there's sloppy play from both teams, but if Temple can limit the penalties and the turnovers, I believe they'll have a huge edge in this game. If we look at Tulane, the Green Wave enters this matchup with Temple with a 6-3 and 2-2 record overall. Tulane is currently in 4th place in the American West standings. The Green Wave will be in search of its first win over the Owls since 1935 when these two teams played in the Sugar Bowl. Temple has won the last 3 games in this series. Tulane is coming off of a bye, but the week prior, the Green Wave earned its 6th win of the season with a 38-26 victory over Tulsa. Tulane runs the ball very well. Temple's defense will have its work cut out for them trying to limit a Green Wave rushing attack that is ranked 10th nationally, averaging 261.2 yards per game. Tulane is the only school in the American Conference to have 6 different running backs rush for 200 yards or more. Tulane enters this matchup with Temple having rushed for over 250 yards in 7 out of the last 11 games. Another fascinating stat about the Green Wave is that this program has rushed for at least 100 yards in 49 consecutive games, dating back to the end of the 2015 season. Tulane enters this game with an offense that ranks in the top 25 nationally. However, Temple boasts the 3rd best red zone defense in all of FBS. So if Tulane gets in the red zone, chances are good that Temple's defense will step up and make things difficult for Tulane. Some key players to watch out for from both teams are quarterback Anthony Russo and running back Jagger Gardner and the Temple defense. Russo's favorite targets are redshirt sophomore Jaden Blue and redshirt junior Brendan Mack, who have both surpassed 600 yards receiving this season. For Tulane, watch out for senior quarterback Justin McMillan, who is 11-4 as a starter for the Green Wave. McMillan is a threat through the air and on the ground, as he's one of only 3 quarterbacks in FBS that have rushed for 12 or more touchdowns. Man, this is setting up to be a really good game this weekend between the Temple Owls and the Tulane Green Wave. After this break, I'll give you my prediction for the outcome of this game after a quick word from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. My Week 12 Temple football prediction is presented by MyBookie. Are you the type of fan that knows football so well that you could choose any game and call it? Well, MyBookie is a place for you because they let you turn all of your sports knowledge into cash in your wallet. If you join right now, MyBookie will match your deposit halfway, all the way up to $1,000. That means if you deposit $2,000, you get an extra $1,000 in free money to play with. Just use promo code LATEFEES to activate the offer. Once again, that's promo code LATEFEES to take advantage of MyBookie's generous sign-up offer. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER for help. Welcome back. My prediction for this game? Temple 21, Tulane 38. Next week, Temple will travel to the Natty to take on the Cincinnati Bearcats on Saturday, November 23rd. Game time for this matchup will be announced next week, but you'll be able to catch the action on ESPN. This is an important matchup as it will have some serious AAC East Conference Championship implications on the line. Thank you guys for listening to my podcast preview of the Temple versus Tulane matchup this weekend. Hope you guys enjoy watching the game, and I hope to talk to you guys again soon. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Thank you again for tuning into my CherryPickin podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to subscribe to my show and drop me a rating on Apple Podcasts. All of my digital content can be found at the website CherryPickinSports.com. And if you are looking to interact with me via social media, my Twitter handle is @Cherry_Pickin. That's PICKIN. On my Twitter, you'll also find a link to my blog where I post my weekly college football predictions and analysis. I can also be reached via email at cherrypickinsports@gmail.com. Please feel free to reach out to me regarding what you like about this podcast or about what content you'd like to hear more of on future episodes. I sincerely thank you for your support, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Take care.